sure somebody was here.
I'm glad you did. You have three services today, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's on the schedule. Yeah. Yeah, I'll give you. You can leave the door open a little bit. I'll give you a key.
Good morning, my name I'm sorry. Good morning, my name is Trevor and I'll be your chairperson for today's service. Are there any visitors or new students and families here this morning? If so, welcome to our temple. Could those of you sitting near them help to find the proper pages for the sutras, gathas, and readings? Thank you. First, we'll have Sambujo on page 24 in the big book, and followed by the sutra chanting Juseige on page 23 in the little book, or page 93 in the big book. The page numbers for the sutra book will be displayed on the front screen and on your monitors at home, so please follow along. Please rise to sing the Gatha church bells, which is page 42 in the small Dharma service book, followed by the golden chain, which is located on page 2 in the little book or page 15 in the big book under golden chain 1.
Ding dong, the church bells ring. Ding dong, of joy they sing. Ding dong, they ring with glee. Ding dong, for you and me. Ding dong, it's Buddha's call. Ding dong, come one and all.
The golden chain. I am a link in Amida's golden chain of love that stretches around the world. I will keep my link bright and strong. I will be kind and gentle to every living thing and protect all who are weaker than myself. I will think pure and beautiful thoughts, say pure and beautiful words, and do pure and beautiful deeds. May every link in Amida's golden chain of love be bright and strong, and may we all attain perfect peace. Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo
Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo
Namo Amida Butsu. Now we will have a Dharma lesson by Rinban Adams.
Namanda butsu, namanda butsu, namanda butsu, namanda butsu, namanda butsu, namanda butsu. Good morning, everyone. 皆さんおはようございます。Wonderful to be here with you all. I met many of you over the past week or so since I started on New Year's Day. For those of you I haven't had a chance to meet yet, I'm Reverend Henry Adams. I have taken over as Rinban following Rinban Sakamoto's retirement. Realize I have gigantic shoes to fill, and I'm doing my best here. And thanks to all of your support and patience. I understand we're, for Dharma School this week, we're working on a project for next week's service. Does anyone know what our major service is for next week? Honko service, that's right, the Honko service. Honko service is about somebody very special who's up here on the Onaijin. Do you know who that is? It's a memorial service for somebody. Do you know his name? Shinran Shonin, lots of people know that name, right? And can you direct me? Do you know where Shinran Shonin is? Yep, you got it right there. Just to the right of the Buddha. So we're having our Honko service. Does anyone know what the word Honko means? Honko, what it's about? Ho means to express, and on means our feeling of gratitude. So Honko is about expressing our gratitude, and we'll be talking more about that next week. But one of the things that we're going to be doing in preparation for that service, I understand part of today's Dharma School activity is preparing okumotsu. Have you guys been working on the okumotsu yet? If you haven't yet, you're going to be working on it today. Does anyone know if this is a Japanese word? Do you know what they are? Do you know what I'm talking about? The okumotsu? It's some special treats. We put treats up on the Onaijin. Why do you think we put treats up? We're going to make a special kind of stand with lots of treats on it. Do you know why we do that? Do you know? Is it for the Buddha to eat? No. Is it for Shinran to eat? No, they're in the Pure Land. The food there is much better than the food here, even though San Jose, Japantown is like the Pure Land for Japanese food, in my opinion. The word honko is to express gratitude, right? And so those okumotsu, it's our way of expressing gratitude. We put something up there with all of our different senses. We have the incense, smells good. The okumotsu tastes good. So with all of our senses, we express our appreciation, our gratitude for the Buddha. Now this is a tradition, doing things to express gratitude. This goes all the way back to India 2,500 years ago, when the Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha in this world, he received offerings of gratitude. It said that one day he went to visit a very wealthy king, and the king gave him a nice, delicious feast. The Buddha had shared a very meaningful Dharma talk, and the king felt gratitude, and he says, what would be the most appropriate way to send the Buddha off now that he's on his way home? One of his advisors said, oh, the best thing to do would be to light his way, so please prepare lanterns for him. So the king, he had lots of wealth, and so he prepared lanterns every 5 feet, all the way from his palace to the forest where the Buddha was dwelling. There was this long, brightly lit road. It was like Highway 101 with the bright lights, but with individual oil lanterns. So it took a lot of money to buy beautiful, nice brass lanterns, very expensive, the best oil to show the king's appreciation for the Buddha. Now at that time, there was a woman by the name of Nanda, and she didn't have a lot of money. She was actually quite poor. She, a lot of days, didn't get to eat every single day because she was so poor that maybe only every other day or so she would be able to scrounge together enough money to be able to buy some food. And even though she was very poor, she saw all these lanterns. She was so inspired. She said, these lanterns must be for the Buddha. This is how the king expresses his gratitude for the Buddha. But for me, I also have gratitude. I would like to prepare a lantern. And so she set about asking people, begging for enough money to purchase one single oil lantern. And in the end, she was able to scrape together just two coins. And she went to the oil lantern store, the oil seller, and the merchant. She said, okay, I have 2 coins. How much oil can I buy? And he said, well, 1 portion of oil costs 4 coins. He says, oh, well, will you just sell me a half portion? And he said, I know you. You often don't eat food every day. Why is it that you're not just taking this money and buy some food to eat? You must be so hungry. Just buy food. Why do you need to buy oil? She said, it's hard is it to be born into human life. Difficult is it to encounter the teachings of the Buddha. I've had the opportunity to be born in this world, to hear the teachings of the Buddha. It's like a lantern that lights my heart. So I want to show my gratitude with a lantern. And so when the merchant heard this, he was so moved that he gave her 2 portions of oil. And so she went about fashioning a very simple lantern. It wasn't made of brass or gold. It was made of clay. She just dug some clay out from the riverbed, made a simple lantern, and lit this. And she saw all the king's lanterns were full to the top with oil. Hers had just this much. She said, I don't know how long it's going to last, but by the power of my gratitude, may this lantern be here to light the path of the Buddha. So the Buddha, he passed by, he went home. The next morning, he said to his disciple Mahamudgalyayana, he said, okay, morning has risen, the path is now safe, go ahead and go out and extinguish all the lanterns. Now when Mahamudgalyayana went out, he saw that all the lanterns had naturally burned out except for one. Nanda's lantern, the simplest lantern, was still burning bright. So Nanda, following the Buddha's instructions, he went to wave it out with his hand, because we don't blow on lanterns. We don't blow flames out. He just waved it out, and it wouldn't wave. And he started waving his robe back and forth, making the biggest wind he could. It only burned brighter. Now Mahamudgalyayana had special powers. He was able to summon a hurricane wind to try to blow out this lantern, and the harder the wind blew, the brighter the lantern became. Finally, the Buddha said, what are you doing? And Mahamudgalyayana said, I can't get this lantern to blow out. The Buddha said, stop. This lantern glows with the light of gratitude of one who has heard the Buddha's teachings, rejoicing in their hearts. This lantern will burn for as long as it takes for this person to realize enlightenment. So this teaching is a beautiful teaching. It tells us that what's important is not how fancy our offerings are, how beautiful they are, but that they're the best that we can manage. And the most important thing is that they express the gratitude in our hearts, our gratitude for the light of the Buddha's teachings. That light burned so brightly in Nanda's heart that it illuminated that lantern. When we hear these words, Namo Amida Butsu, that bright light of gratitude burns in our hearts too. So I thank you very much for joining us and all of your hard work on the Okumotsu. We'll conclude with Gassho. Please join me in Gassho. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namman Dabutsu. Namman Dabutsu.
Thank you, Rinban Adams. Please rise to sing the Gatha Farewell on page 45 in the Little Service Book, followed by the Promise located on page 5 in a Little Book or page 15 in the Big Book.
45. Dharma school is over for another day. Let us gather round the shrine, bow our heads and say, thank you, teacher, for your help. Thank you, everyone. Buddha's light will keep us safe till our work is done. So we'll meet again next week. Won't you take good care? Let us try to do what's right, always kind of fair. We shall spread our happiness, faith in Buddha brings. Now it's time to say goodbye till we meet again. Namu Amida Butsu, sing this fine refrain. Namu Amida Butsu, sunny day or rain. Namu Amida Butsu, surely faith remain. Namu Amida Butsu, till we meet again.
The Promise. We thank the Buddha for showing us the way of freedom. We will endeavor to walk in his noble path every day of our lives. Namo Amida Butsu.
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 Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda Butsu.
Thank you to Rinban Adams, Reverend Mikame, Reverend Jones, Mr. Akizuki, Mr. Rowling, Organist, Miss Tsuchimoto, and AV Coordinator, Mr. Endo. Are there any announcements?
Morning. The 10:10 service today will have a guest speaker, Reverend Duncan Williams, who'll be talking about the Irecho Project, the Book of Names, people serving in camps during World War II, which has been going on for the last 3 days and is the last day is today. So you're all welcome to stay for that. Next week, as Rinban Adams has mentioned, is a special service, Honko service. So please be here for that. Reminder, those of you representing various organizations, scouts and stuff, you do Oshoko that day. So don't forget about that. Then in 2 weeks from today, we have our volunteer recognition event going on during the 10:10 service. And we are also going to, so this is last minute, but we're having a one sangha event following. So you're going to have a free lunch if you are able to stay. We are doing this as a welcoming event to Rinban Adams and his family, and as a farewell event to Reverend Mikame. So as you know, Reverend Mikame is leaving soon, so we're going to hold this as a very informal event. She didn't want anything fancy or anything like that. So if you can join us in 2 weeks, please do so. You don't have to bring anything. It's all free. The church is sponsoring this. So anyway, hopefully you can attend. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Happy New Year. My name's Linda Ichinaga, and I'm going to be talking about our art contest. The Eco Sangha and Dharma School are doing their art contest for this year. Earth Day is earlier this year. It's not in April. It's going to be in March. So March 22nd is the date of Earth Day this year. And so that means that you have a little bit shorter time to do your art project. So start thinking about it. And our theme for this year is Only One Earth, okay? Meaning that we only have this earth that we know of. If we don't treat it well, if we don't do as much as we can to help preserve it and help make it a better world, then what are we going to leave for our families or generations later? So what we want you to do is think of art projects that you can use, reusable things that cardboard, milk cartons, whatever, and reuse it for something else that make life better for people, maybe, or a beautiful artwork. So think about it, and the last day to submit is March 15th. So that's your day to submit your art project. So we'd like to see a lot of new and think about things, and it was amazing what we got last year for art projects. It was very nice to see. So think about it. Thank you. Bye.
Hi, everyone. I'm Randy Cow, one of the Boy Scout leaders. Troop 611 is having our e-waste event at the end of this month, Saturday, January 31st from 9 to 3. It'll be in the 4th Street parking lots, hopefully. And if you have any e-waste, stuff you got from Christmas that you need to find room for that's now being replaced, you can bring it then. Or if there's stuff from the cleanouts from the organizations that have e-waste, you can bring that there as well. Thank you.
Good morning. I know there are several scouts who are very interested in learning to do the Kansho, and so we will be getting to that. January is a little bit busy, so we may not get to it this month, but we will get to it. If there are others that want to learn to invite the bell to sound, then please see me. But we will get together. We'll teach you what the bell is about, how to go about striking the bell, and how to do it properly. So there really is a proper way. So just see me if you're interested, and I know there's the 4 scouts. I know you're already interested, but anybody else, let me know. Thanks.
Before everyone leaves the temple, please straighten all the books for the next service. Those of you who are interested are welcome to attend the adult English service following this service. For your safety, please obey the crossing guards and look both ways before crossing the street. Thank you for attending today's service.
Good to go.
Good morning. My name is Larry Honda, and I'll be your chairperson for today's service. It's great to see so many people in here. I'm getting a little nervous. So anyway, thank you again for coming. Just a reminder, there's no food or drink, of course, here in the Hondo. And please turn your cell phones off or put them in silent mode. Thank you. We'll begin today's morning service with Sutra chanting of Sanbujo, which is on page 24 of the large service book. So this is the large service book for those of you who don't attend to regularly, and this is the small service book. So I'll be referring to various books here. So we'll be doing again, starting with Sambujo on page 24 in the large book, and then we'll follow with Sutra chanting Juseige, which is on page 23 in the small book, or page 93 in the large service book. The page numbers for the Sutra book will be displayed on the front screen and on your monitors at home, so please follow along. Thank you. Would you all please rise to sing the Gatha Amida's Paradise, which is on page 36 in the small Dharma service book. And then after that, please remain standing for the recitation of the three treasures, which is also in the small Dharma school service book on page 3.
Three treasures. Hard is it to be born into human life. Now we are living it. Difficult is it to hear the teachings of the Blessed One. Now we hear it. If we do not deliver ourselves in the present life, no hope is there that we shall be freed from suffering and sorrow in the ocean of birth and death. Let us reverently take refuge in the three treasures of the truth. I take refuge in Buddha. May we all together absorb into ourselves the principle of your way to enlightenment and awaken in ourselves the supreme will. I take refuge in Dharma. May we all together be submerged in the depths of the doctrine and gain I take refuge in Sangha. May we all together become units in true accord in your life of harmony, in a spirit of universal oneness, freed from the bondage of selfishness. Even through ages of myriads of kalpas, hard is it to hear such an excellent, profound, and wonderful doctrine. Now we are able to hear and receive it. Let us thoroughly understand the true meaning of Tathagata's teaching. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Nama. Please be seated.
And now Rinban Adams will introduce our guest speaker.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us for this very special occasion. Over the past, 3 days, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then now today on the fourth day, we've been truly honored to host the Ireicho, this book of names. And for today's Dharma message, we are most grateful to have the opportunity to hear from the inspiration behind this wonderful project, the Reverend Dr. Duncan Williams. Dr. Williams has brought this throughout the country, started out at the Japanese American National Museum in Los Angeles, and then has very diligently and kindly brought it close to many of our Sangha members. It's been here in the Bay Area in Palo Alto. It's been to some of the incarceration camps, and now it's here most gratefully at the San Jose Betsuin. So Dr. Williams grew up in Tokyo, Japan, to a Japanese mother and a British father. After growing up in Japan and England until the age of 17, he moved to the U.S. to attend college at Reed College and then continued his graduate studies at Harvard University, where he received a PhD in religion. Dr. Williams is currently professor of religion and East Asian languages and cultures and the director of the USC Shinsho Ito Center for Japanese Religion and Culture at the University of Southern California. Previously, he also held the position of the Shinjo Ito Distinguished Chair of Japanese Buddhism at UC Berkeley and served as the director of Berkeley Center for Japanese Studies for 4 years. He has been ordained since 1993 as a priest in the Soto Zen tradition, so we're honored to have him join us in the Onaijin for the service today. He also served as the Buddhist chaplain at Harvard University from 1994 to 1996. He's the author of many books, The Other Side of Zen, A Social History of Soto Zen Buddhism in Tokugawa, Japan, as well as American Sutra, which is one of my favorite books and a treasure for us who are seeking to appreciate and deepen our understanding of Buddhism in the United States. And American Sutra is a story of faith and freedom in the Second World War. Professor Williams is to me, such an inspiration because he combines both a profound scholarly acumen and deep cutting-edge research, but also a close connection to the living Buddhist traditions and the Sanghas. And this is evidenced by his amazing dedication and service in bringing this sacred Irecho to many temples. He's been here first thing in the morning till late at night for the last 3 days. His dedication is truly an inspiration, and I'm most grateful to Reverend Dr. Williams for sharing his Dharma insights with us today. Sensei, yoroshiku onegai.
Reverend Adams, thank you for the kind introduction, and I'm so happy to be here with all of you this morning, and allow me to share a few words as a Dharma message for this morning's service. So for today's message, I wanted to do a quick word. Of course, we have with us today the Irecho, so I did want to say a few words about some background about this book of names, and also in particular from a Buddhist point of view, what the power of remembering ancestors, remembering the past, what it means from a Buddhist vantage point. But also, mainly today, I wanted to acknowledge that I'm here at the San Jose Buddhist Church Betsuin and in the Santa Clara County area. And so I wanted to structure my remarks today around 4 individuals whose names are contained in this book of names, who have a very strong connection to this temple and to the Palo Alto Temple, like temples of historic significance, temples with over a century of history in this region. So first, a quick word about the Irecho, just in case there's some people here who don't know anything about it. It's a book of names containing 125,284 people of Japanese ancestry who were unjustly incarcerated in various kinds of camps during World War II. And we've been, as Reverend Adams noted, hosting the Irecho stamping, or this temple has been kind enough to host us and the team and the book for a process we call stamping names, and it's a project where we were trying to conceive of something that would be helpful, something that would attend to and repair this very difficult period in the history of this temple and many temples and Christian churches and the Japanese community members in general back in World War II, where without any kind of due process, people were removed forcibly from their homes and taken to these camps for some duration of the war. And so our project is a project in which we are trying to do the inverse or the opposite of what the government did back in World War II, which was to target a community and without really treating people with dignity and respect, they just lumped together little babies, infirm grandmothers, U.S. citizens, Japanese immigrants, and said, all of you are a threat to the national security of America, enough so that you need to be removed from your homes and put in camps. And so our project is about how do we provide dignity and personhood to each and every person who experienced that type of discrimination back in World War II. And so we have names. And the Buddhist part of it is, earlier this service, we all, we chanted, Nam Amida Butsu, Nam Amida. We're reciting the Buddha's name. Sometimes, we use the word Nim Butsu to talk about the recitation of the Buddha's name. And to me, if we look deeply as to why do we bother to remember? Why do we care about the past? Why do we care about ancestors? The Buddhist answer to that is found when we chant Nam Amida Butsu. When we say the Nembutsu, and originally the word Nen just means to recall, and Butsu means Buddha. We're recalling the Buddha. And in the original Sanskrit meaning, Buddha Sanusmriti, it means not just to chant, but literally in your mind to kind of recreate, remember, recall the Buddha who is no longer with us. In our lives, we have moments when we need help, we need guidance, we need some teaching. And because the founder of our particular, different religions have different, founders and teachings, our 2,500 years passed away. So the Buddha is absent. And yet by recalling in our minds, by chanting with our voice the Buddha's name, we make the absent Buddha present again. We bring the teachings that were taught 2,500 years ago alive again. So that's what is, in some sense, the theory or idea behind remembrance of names, of these people who are, in many cases, some of you are in the book, some of you have siblings, parents, grandparents, great-grandparents in this book. Why do we recall them? It's because they themselves, their lives, their experiences have meaning. Their lives can teach us something. They themselves are like the Buddha, have a Dharma message to us, if only we would listen. And so that's why we recall their names, and I'm going to focus on a few specific names today and about what teachings they left for us, if we care to pay attention. The first names I'm going to talk about are people who literally built this temple. Shinzaburo and Gentaro Nishiura. I think many of you know, if you're here from San Jose area, that they were so instrumental, not only, of course, the building of this temple, but in, I think, 1911, the first building they built, the original hospital for the community, the Nakamura Hospital, today I think called the Issei Memorial Hall, the Aikido Hall in this Japantown area. These were the type of buildings they built before the war, and this building was dedicated just a few, like a year and a bit before the war broke out. And I always imagine how sad it must have been for the Nishiura brothers to have finally created their masterpiece, this amazing temple building, only to be told that you are not welcome in America. You are not deemed sufficiently loyal or sufficiently American, even though you've dedicated your lives to building a home, a community here. And the teachings these two brothers, I think, left for us come from what they did in camp. They went to Heart Mountain in Wyoming, that camp, and in a moment when the community, the San Jose Buddhist community and many other communities who gathered in Heart Mountain were lost, disoriented, dislocated, didn't know how long, can you imagine you've been told by your government you have 10 days to report to a civil control station and you're going to be taken to this place for a time unknown, length to a place that you've never heard of before. And you have to sell your businesses, farms, or if you're in school, disenroll, and your life is disrupted, disoriented. And so what the Nishura brothers did in camp, using their skills as craftsmen and carpenters, woodworking carpenters, they built beautiful, several of them, wonderful shumidang. It's like a large butsudan, like a Buddhist altar, so that the Heart Mountain Buddhist Church could have a beautiful altar, but they weren't able to access, the type of materials that they did for this temple. I remember reading the records of the Nishura brothers, how they really were very careful about sourcing the wood from the lumber from up in Oregon to build this temple, and how they used the finest grade lumber to try to build something beautiful for the community. They didn't have access to all that in camp. They found wood in that desert kind of environment in Heart Mountain, Wyoming. They were able to take wooden crates that packaged vegetables and fruits at the mess hall, take those wooden crates apart and use that kind of wood. So found wood from the mess hall, and somehow cobbled together these beautiful, beautiful altars, so that people could, in that moment of dislocation, find a place again, find a place of refuge, come together as a Sangha again, rebuild their lives. And the teaching, the deeper teaching of being able to use that kind of wood to create something, maybe it's not the best wood, but still something of value and meaning. It reminds me of my own Buddhist traditions. I come from Soto Zen Buddhist traditions, and my lineage's founder, Dogen, taught that when you cook, when you try to make a meal for people inside of the monastery, inside of the temple, there are two very important principles to keep in mind. Number one, take a very good assessment of what's in your kitchen pantry. Because if you don't really know what you have, and you don't know, is this vegetable still okay to use? Is this starting to rot? Take a serious assessment of your kitchen ingredients. And number two, he said, make sure you don't cook like I'm a great cook, like with pride and self-centeredness, but you cook for the other people's well-being, their nourishment, their physical well-being, as well as their spiritual well-being. This is, of course, it's a metaphor, isn't it? The kitchen is actually ourselves. He's urging us to take a look deeply. Who am I? What are my ingredients? Maybe we have some kind of little bit rotting, not so great parts of our personality, but that's okay. Because a decent cook, if you have great ingredients, you can create a wonderful meal. But a Buddhist cook, a Zen cook, it can take not so good ingredients and still create something that is nourishing and helpful. Just like the Nishura brothers did. They took that scrap wood from the mess halls. They found those pieces of wood lying around in Heart Mountain and made something of value. That's a teaching, that's a Dharma message left by the Nishida brothers, the founders who, the people who built this temple, the structure. They left us a message, if only we would listen. That's why we look at these names, because they tell us something. Each name has a story, a life, a message for us today. I think also of, this is another name in the book, Daitetsu Hayashima. He served not this temple, but the Palo Alto Buddhist temple before the war. He also served in the LA temple, San Mateo temple, and after the war, the Pasadena temple as well. But he served a lot of different Buddhist temples as the head minister. But here, he served in the Santa Clara County area, and I think he also left a message. He was, during World War II, in the rower camp. And in many ways, our project, we call the Ide project. Literally the words Ide mean, the Japanese kanji character means to console, and Re means spirits. And he was the one who helped to build the Ide-hi, the kind of tower or structure to console the spirits. It's a monument that was built in 1945, right at the end of the war, in the Roar, Arkansas camp. And he helped to design this monument. And the way he designed it, like up here on the altar here, you see these kind of lotus flowers that are the motif for holding the base of Buddha altars. He kind of built a Buddhist-inspired, but still also I would call it like a hybrid monument that still stands there. If you go to Arkansas today, to the cemetery of that camp, you'll see this monument that they built, that Reverend Hayashima designed. And there's something in the design that's a teaching that he left for us. He had this lotus flower base at the bottom of the monument, and this large pillar that comes up, a globe on top of the pillar, and like an American eagle at the top. This pillar has the Shimenawa vine kind of patterns, motif, and up at the top, there's this globe, as I said, and an American eagle. And what he was trying to build was what I would call a multi-religious, a multi-national, hybrid American monument, but based in Buddhist teachings. The Buddhist teaching he's referencing and referring to is one that I think most people in the room may know. Sometimes we, just as a quick way to sum it up, we say no mud, no lotus. I mean, no mud, no flowering of the lotus. It's a metaphor that comes from the Mahayana Buddhist text that says that the purpose of Buddhism is to alleviate suffering and go on a journey, a pathway to freedom, to liberation. And the metaphor used is like a lotus flower, is like a one that has been able to blossom, is like the enlightenment, the awakening, the liberation of the Buddha, and that there is therefore this kind of muddy world that underlies it, the world that has difficulty, suffering, and that to rise up above it is the kind of basic metaphor of this teaching. But the way Reverend Hayashima interpreted it in this monument, what he said was, you can't grow a beautiful lotus flower if you have pure or sterile water. You need the mud to give it the nutrients to grow up high. So rather than thinking about just transcending suffering, he was like, we work with it. We work with it to get to freedom. And he literally or concretely made this, it's made of concrete, but he enacted that metaphor by taking rebar and the barbed wire, the wire from the barbed wire fence of this camp and put it inside the concrete to kind of get that pillar to go up, give it structural integrity. He used the very things that were confining people, that were taking away freedom, to make something, transform it into a beautiful monument that still stands today, that still is a Dharma message to us today about how to get to freedom. Something where he said you have to contend with, you have to deal with those difficulties, the mud, to get to freedom. No mud, no lotus. That's the teaching that he left for us. Finally, I recall one of the names in the book, Kyoshiro Tokunaga. He was a minister here in the 1950s as a head minister, and eventually Rinban in the 1970s until he retired in 1981. I know a few of you old-timers still remember Reverend Tokunaga. He was somebody who, at the time of the war, was picked up by the FBI in the weeks that followed the Pearl Harbor attack and taken before the rest of the community to those Department of Justice internment camps. The first place was Santa Fe in New Mexico. And he wasn't feeling well when he was taken. And he recalled after the war in his kind of remembrances about what happened to him and his family. He talked about how he was serving a Buddhist temple, as a Buddhist minister, he was targeted and thought to be a special threat. At that time, the government said Buddhist and Shinto priests, unlike Christian ministers, were, particularly dangerous to the national security of America. So they got taken first. And so as he was going on the train to go to New Mexico, he recalled how ill he felt. And he talked about it wasn't just that he was feeling physically bad on this long train ride to the internment camp, but how he felt so sad and just heartbroken that the community was and families were being members were being separated and the temple, and he just worried so much about what was happening. And that on that train, an African American train porter came to help him get better physically. But he said over time they started talking, and that the porter talked about things that happened, in his community, and the history of African Americans in America, and how they shared some of the common things that they noticed would happen to both communities. He said he retained that, and he got better by the time he got to camp, and he had a lot of gratitude for that person. And he said that it was because of that when he went to a lot of different internment camps, and finally when he was released from Crystal City Camp in Texas, he noticed at that time in the American South, he had a one-way train ticket to get back to California, and he had to choose which part of the train to get on. It was a time of segregation, that people of different race, blacks and whites, were in places like Texas. You had to ride in different cars. And so he said he rode in the black section of the train just because he remembered that experience with the black porter on his way out of California. He wanted to come back on that part of the train. And he said later, actually, they told him he had to move to the white section. But he realized something in that moment that he would recall in the years after the war. I think some of you know that in terms of this experience of the World War II Japanese-American incarceration, there was a governmental effort to provide reparations and redress in the Civil Liberties Act of 1988. But Reverend Tokunaga was quite unusual because he was he was the only Issei who signed on to a lawsuit as part of the redress and reparations campaign put together by NCJAR, the National Council for Japanese American Redress. And he used his experience back then about how different communities' histories were interlinked to talk about, he wrote an article, there's a newspaper article that quotes him talking about the idea that karma, we tend to think about it as an individual, like you do good things, you get good results, bad things, you have negative consequences. He was like, karma is not just found on an individual level. It can be found in a family. It can be found in a community. It can even be found in a nation. And he talked about the racial karma of the United States. How there have been, what happened with the Japanese Americans is not an isolated thing, but using the Buddhist principle of interconnectedness, that things are interlinked, that what happened to the Japanese American community was interlinked with many other experiences of other communities. And so in that sense, he was like, we need to contend with this racial karma of the nation. It's an interesting teaching for us to ponder in these times, when it seems like the very same laws that were used back then, the Enemy Alien Act that was used to arrest, detain, and deport people back then in World War II, are being deployed again in our time. One of the things that Reverend Tokunawa, from my personal point of view, I take as a teaching about that idea that there's a racial karma to our nation, is that when I became a U.S. citizen not long ago, maybe 5-6 years ago, I gave up my Japanese passport and naturalized and became a U.S. citizen. I realized whether you're a new citizen who take on the responsibilities of defending the Constitution, due process, all of equal justice and freedom, that when we become American, or you're a, seventh generation American, whether you're new or old, whether we like it or not, take on the entire history of this nation, that it becomes something we have to contend with. So what Reverend Tokunawa taught to me was something about the history of this nation, that there are different visions about what this nation is. And he had a Buddhist take on what this nation is. Because there's one take of this nation that says there is, that it's a nation that is essentially a white Christian nation. It's a vision that is based on a kind of singularity and a supremacy, right? That there's only one group that is true Americans, and everybody else are maybe second-class Americans, or maybe not even allowed to enter the United States. It's also a vision that says only one religion is identified as what constitutes the nation, despite the fact that our Constitution is very much infused with the idea of religious freedom of different creeds and religions and conscience to that's what the nation is founded on. And yet there are those who would say that there's only one that is suitable for the nation. So I think what Reverend Tokunawa was talking about is a different kind of vision of America, one that's more aligned with somebody like Frederick Douglass and his vision of America. Frederick Douglass, as you may know, is an African-American historical figure who was a formerly enslaved person himself, who, when he became free, talked a lot about the nature of America. And he was one of the few people when the Chinese Exclusion Act in 1881, the 19th century, when that was being passed in Congress, for the first time, a federal immigration law that said one group of people are not welcome in America, that said that they used the word heathen Chinese as a kind of like slur word a group of people, the Chinese, that are unassimilable racially to what is America. That was the argument some senators made. And that they also use the word heathen to mean non-Christian, that they're not welcome in America because they're not Christian. And that's how that Immigration Act was passed. It got repealed during World War II. But very few people who spoke up against that law, one of them was Frederick Douglass, this recently enslaved person who made a speech in Boston called the Composite Nation Speech, in which he said this nation is a nation of multiplicity. It's a nation with many peoples from around the world with many different creeds and faiths. That kind of vision of a multiplicity, what kind of vision of pluralism and hybridity, that's what I think Reverend Tokunaga was talking about when he said we have to contend. What kind of vision of America do we as Buddhists want? And if we think about America in history like a pendulum, that sometimes America, unfortunately, becomes narrow-minded, exclusionary, supremacist, excluding people, telling people they're not equal citizens, not providing equal justice and freedom. That kind of part of the pendulum. We go back and forth, but the other part is a beautiful vision of America that is multiple, that is hybrid, that's plural, that's free. Reverend Tokunaga was giving us a Dharma message back then, that when the pendulum is on one side, we can do something to, in our small little ways, collectively move the pendulum towards a different vision of America. And I think that's a very important, maybe the last thing I'm going to say, is because sometimes in our times we feel overwhelmed at all of the different things going on. I mentioned some of the laws that are being used, but we note that has real consequences, doesn't it, around our neighbors being grabbed from the streets. Some of those very things that we remember from Reverend Tokunaga being arrested off the streets back in 1941 or 2 is happening again. The pendulum is in a different moment. And it's up to us to do our little acts. It doesn't require a lot. The Buddhist teaching about interdependence, interconnectedness, the fact that we are interlinked, that my freedom is related to your freedom. Reverend Tokunaga also used the word Issai Shujo in Japanese. All sentient beings, without exception, anyone who suffers. Our goal as Buddhists is one. Our mission is clear. We're trying to alleviate suffering. The tactics are different. And that's what's important to remember about these names in this book. Nishura brothers, they taught us something about how we can make do with the ingredients we have to try to make the best of it, to create something of meaning and value. Reverend Daitetsu Hayashima, who built that Ire monument in Arkansas, he teaches us something about hybridity, multiplicity, and how you can actually have an American presence where different faiths can coexist together. He also taught us about how sometimes we have to contend, transform the mud. No lotus. And finally, Tokunaga Sensei's teachings about interlinkness, that we're not alone, that our liberation and freedom gets done together. So recall all of these names. We recall and we remember Namamirots, Namamirots, Namamirots.
Thank you, Reverend Dr. Williams, for that inspiring talk. As some of you know, I was a math instructor for a while, but like my son and I, we love history and the importance of never forgetting our history. So Reverend Tokunaga was one of the ministers here when I attended. They used to call it Sunday school, but Dharma school. I didn't know that made me an old timer now, though. So that's so depressing. Anyway, Reverend Tokunaga, I was a little kid, so I just remember him as, smiling. There were two ministers here, Reverend Hojo and Reverend Tokunaga. And Reverend Hojo had this really thick Japanese accent, so it was really hard to understand his English. And I don't speak any Japanese. So we liked when Reverend Tokunaga gave the Dharma talks because he spoke really good English. So he was easy for us to understand. But I just remember him with a nice smile on his face all the time, and he was kind and gentle like a Buddhist person should be. So yeah, that brought back pleasant memories for me. So thank you. Okay, we will now sing the Gatha Ondokusan II on page 76 in the small Dharma service book.
Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda. Please be seated.
Thank you to Rinban Adams, Reverend Mikame, Reverend Jones, Reverend Dr. Duncan Williams, Dennis Akizuki, Matthew Rowling, our organist Colleen Tsuchimoto, and AV coordinator Paul Endo for today's service, and Reverend Dr. Akahoshi. Are there any announcements?
Good morning. I'm Reverend Akahoshi. As a survivor of one of the incarceration camps, Samachi, what Dr. Williams has been doing is very significant. As a human being, it's very degrading to be identified by a number. And what he's done is acknowledge that each of us who were in those incarceration camps has a name and is remembered by those who have followed. And so I want to thank him for his efforts for what he's been doing these several years. And along that same line, similarly, we have a man here in our community who has done something similar. Judge Johnny Gogo is a Superior Court judge here in our county. And some of you may know that he purchased a 48-star flag, which was the current flag in 1942 and 5. And brought it to about 75 different communities, Japanese communities, to have people sign, especially those who were in the camps. And this was significant because, again, it acknowledges signing a flag. It kind of symbolizes that we are part of America, signing an American flag. And he started here with and our friend Mike Honda and Norm Mineta and others who followed. And so I want to introduce him. Judge Johnny Gogo, if you could stand. And so similarly, these two men with no direct connection, either through family or ancestors, took on these projects to really uplift us, and I think their work really should be acknowledged. Along the same line, I belong to a group called Tsuru for Solidarity Elders, and this is people who have been incarcerated, people my age. I was 2 weeks old when I was interned. But, and it is to give voice to the communities now who are being attacked, as Dr. Williams noted, for similar reasons. And if people are interested in joining, we meet every other week by Zoom and are planning to join in community events to educate the public, because to let people know that this has happened. And as survivors, we, I think, have the authority to claim knowledge of what can happen. So thank you. Again, thank you, Judge Gogo.
Good morning. My name is Jeannie Nakano. I'm here to talk about Sunday refreshments. Now, all of you here are invited. The location of the refreshments will be different. How you reach the gym will be different, which I'm here to tell you how you get into the gym. So we appreciate Reverend Reverend Williams, and an important part of the project, Karen Kano, who really made a lot of adjustments so that we have the gym available for some events this week. So thank you very much. So we're able to have refreshments in the gym instead of in the garden. That's the space that we had left for today. So you're going to leave the Hondo down these stairs. You're going to go towards the front of the annex. Go past those major doors that lead to the foyer or the lobby. You are not to enter the lobby, nor are you to go through the gate down here as we normally do, because the Nokotsudo will be actively used for the book stamping. And so instead of going through the garden, you're going to go to the street, go towards the street, go towards the annex, go past the lobby. There'll be a double door past that where Joyce Iwasaki, who's left, she's going to open those doors and welcome you inside the gym. So, are we all good on how we get there? Okay, thank you. We'll see you there.
Hi, I'm Phyllis, and this is for Linda Ichinaga. Just to let you know that Earth Day this year is Sunday, March 22nd. And one thing that we do at this Betsuin is that we have an art contest, and it's available, or anyone from pre-K through adults can enter this contest. There are flyers in the back of the Hondo that have more details, but I'm hoping to see more entries from all of you. So please take a look. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Terry Yoshidari from Sangha Support Committee. I just wanted to give everyone a heads up on our spring vegetable gardening event. It's going to be Sunday, February 8th, 11:30 to 1 in the boardroom. And we have a special instructor, Jeannie Paris, and she's with the Santa Clara County Master Gardeners Group. And she's going to give a talk about just gardening and their planting techniques, where you plant, the kind of soil that you're looking for, how you water. So kind of just general information on how to grow plants. And so please sign up in the office. You can call in and put your name down. But thank you.
Hi, Steve Onishi. I'm representing the Boy Scout Troop 611. Just to let everyone know, we're having an e-waste project on the last Saturday of January. I think it's January 31st. Anyway, so if you got too much stuff from Christmas or whatever, if you have old electronics, please drop by. It'll be held in the 4th Street lot on the other side of the parking lot here. Thank you.
Good morning. So there is a Japanese language service after this service. If you're interested in attending the service, please join us. Thank you.
Sorry, a couple more announcements. Next Sunday is our Honko service, as was referenced to by Rinban Adams at the 9:30 service. Are we having, I've heard conflicting reports on what we're doing next week. Is there still a Dharma school service and Honko service? No. So I'm hearing there's, and that's starting at 10:10? Okay. So there's no 9:30 service next week, just the 10:10 Honko service. And again, those of you who do Oshoko for various sponsor organizations, Scouts, BWA, whatever, please be sure to show up for that. Let's see. Next Sunday is also our luncheon, right? So our annual luncheon. So if you bought tickets for that, please remember to show up. And I think you can still buy tickets in the office. The following Sunday, January 25th, this is last minute, we are holding a one Sangha event. So we started one Sangha events last year as a way to bring the Sangha together, was Rinban Sakamoto's idea. We are holding one in 2 weeks on January 25th after the volunteer recognition ceremony, which is our 10:10 service, which Terry is going to actually be the chairperson for. And we're doing this for two reasons. One, it's a sort of welcome party for our new Rinban, Reverend Adams, and his family. And we are also doing this as a farewell party for Reverend Mikame, who will be leaving us shortly. So this Reverend Mikame wanted this to be very informal. She didn't want a big deal made about this. So it's just a very informal gathering. You don't have to bring anything. The Betsuin is supplying the lunch. I think the theme is over rice. So we're planning on making 3 different things. What are they? Chili, curry, and shoyu wieners. And one of those, either the chili or curry, on my request, is going to be vegetarian. I'm not vegetarian though, but I know many of you are, so I made a request. So I don't know which one, but anyway, so we'll be doing that in 2 weeks. So it would be great if you could attend for multiple reasons. Any other announcements from anyone? No? Okay. So thank you everyone for attending today's service. I hope you had a great time. I sure did anyway, even though I had to chair it. After we end with closing Kansho, please come forward for incense offering. And as you heard from Jeannie, go out the door, go that way, and go to the gym for refreshments. Thank you, everyone.
You were on the board before.
Yeah, I quit.
step here?
お待たせしました。すいません。ごめんなさい。こんなに時間かかると思わなかったから。OK。Alright。ちょっとじゃあもう少し待ってくださいね。おはようございます。お待たせしてすみません。本日も、今月の、サンノゼベッツインの日本語放送を始めたいと思います。このお勤めは最初にジューセイゲのお勤めをします。この大きなブックの、93ページ、ジューセイゲ一緒にお勤めしてください。でその後、一緒に、三帰依文、来三門三帰依文のところですね、ページ7ですね。このところを一緒に読みます。で、私のお話が少しあるような流れとなっております。それではお話じゃないですね、サービスを始めたいと思います。 ざいます。はい、そうしましたら、こちらの大きなブックの7ページ、ページ7の来3本、三帰依文ですね。ご一緒にご唱和ください。来三問、三帰依文。人参受け方し、今すでに受く。仏法聞き方し、今すでに聞く。好み根性に向かってどせずんば、さらにいずれの章に向かってか好みをどせん。大衆もろともに、四神に参謀に帰依し奉るべし。自ら仏に帰依し奉る。まさに願わくば主情とともに、大道を大義して無常意を起こさん。自ら法に帰依し奉る。まさに願わくば主情とともに、深く胸像に入りて知恵海のごとくならん。自ら僧に帰依し奉る。まさに願わくば主情とともに、大衆を通りして一切無下ならん。無常人人未明の方は百千万号にも愛おうことかたし、我今検問し授事することを得たり、願わくは如来の真実義を下し奉らん。ナマンダーブツナマンダーブツナマンダーブツナマンダーブツナマンダーブツ。はい、ありがとうございます。ちょっと、ホワイトボードを準備しますので、お待ちください。うわ、すいません。いつも、よいしょ。これか。見えますかね。見えないです。見えますか？ Can you see that? なんかシェイキング。あ、あれ、なんかシェイキングしてますね。待ってくださいね。もうちょっと。ちょっと待ってね。なんか縮んでいきますね、どんどん。やめときましょうかね。今日縮んでいきます。Today. It's okay. はい、すいません。はい、じゃあとりあえずお話を始めさせていただこうと思います。明けましておめでとうございます。はい、今年もよろしくお願いいたします。多分皆さんそれぞれに、素敵なクリスマスだったりニューイヤーをお迎えになったことだと思います。お過ごしになったことだと思います。これで私ですね、日本語のご法座をするのが、三の瀬でするのがね、インパーソンでこのお寺でするのが最後になってしまうので、すごく心苦しいなと思うんですけれども、私がこのお寺に来た時は最初はね、藤本先生からが最後で、それからもう誰もねなかったですよね。ゼロから始まってご法座でね、で途中パンデミックを挟んでね、本当に誰もいないところでお話しする感じは日本語でも英語でも変な感じがしました。で途中ね、去年は私の帰国があったりしましたけれども、少しずつそんなこうアップアンダウンがありましたけども、少しずつご縁がつながって、お寺でもオンラインでもね、こうやって、こちらにいらっしゃらない方もオンラインを通してご覧くださっていたり聞いてくださったりする方がね、ちょっとずつ増えて、ありがたいことだったなっていうふうに振り返ると思います。今日も一緒に、浄土真宗で大事にさせていただいている阿弥陀様のお心をね、ご一緒にお聞かせいただければと思うんですけれども、今月は法恩公の月でして、1月の16日っていうのが大事な親鸞上人のご命日ですので、本山ではね、京都のご本山では1週間かけて、1週間遡って、ね、今もお勤め、 されてるんですけれども、これをねオンラインでも見れます。西本願寺のホームページで、YouTube でもねサービスをご覧になれることなんですけれども、その法音講が、このお寺でも来週お務まりになります。今日は法音っていうところをねご一緒にちょっと味わっていければなっていうふうに思うんですが、法音講って3つ漢字3文字なんです。書こうと思ったんですけど書けんかったです。ちょっとイメージしてください。法音講っていうふうにありますけれども、法音講の法は放送の法です。なんか報告とかね、そういう。で音は音に切りますの音ですね。音っていうのは、原因の因に心で、講っていうのは講義の講って言いますけれども、この、この講っていうのはね集まり、ね、会とかこういう集まってお参りすることを講とも言います。なので法音をする講っていう意味なんですけれども、私日本生まれ日本育ちで、来ましたけれども、法音ってあんまり日本語でね使わないです。結構難しい言葉です。で報告の方はね、放送の方は報いるっていうふうにね訓読みで読むことがあります。報いるって言ってもねまたよくわからんのですね。でそれで漢字書きたかったんですけどどうしようかな。やめとこうか。そういいですね。いやどうしようか。でもいいです。ごめんなさい。すいません。そうね、ちょっとわかりにくいかもしれない。なんか縮んじゃった。先生すいません、ありがとうございます。はい、He's a lifesaver です。ありがとうございます。はい、低いかな。OK, perfect。はい。はい、バッチリです。すいません。斜めてる。大丈夫、これは見かめクオリティです。OK、はい。で、法を書きますね。ちょっとこれ。こういう字を書くんですけど、音っていうのはですね、からいこうかな。この音っていうのは一番この半分のところですね。パッと見て四角い大きな形がありますけど、布団をイメージしてください。布団を。その布団にパーッと大の字で赤ちゃんが寝とるような感じっていうのがこの半分の意味。私が今ここにいるっていうことの原因という意味でもありますけども、私が今ここにあるっていうことの因をここね言ってる。それは心ありますけども、いろんなたくさんの、人のお育てがとか大事にしてくれるそういう心がねあって今私があるっていうことをこの漢字はこうね示しているわけです。だから私がいることに対していろんな方がかけてくれた心とか、なされたこと行動とかって全部含めてオンっていうふうに言います。なされていることっていうことですね。じゃあこの報告の方ですけども、今日先生はエクスプレスとか言ってくださいましたけど、最初のね、私は知らせるっていう意味もありますけれども、なんか意味語源を調べたらですね、こっちはちょっと怖いけど罪人っていう意味があるんだそうです。手枷をしているなんか、捕まえられちゃった罪人っていう意味があるんだそうです。それに対してこっちは昔ね王様がその罪人に対してお前はこういう罪があるからこういうふうな罪を償うんだよっていうふうなね命令みたいな、王様のその罪に対する命令っていう意味がこれがあるんだそうです。だからそのね この罪に対してこのなんていうか王様の罪に応じて王様がこう罪そのねなんていうか罪を償うものを施すというかね与えるということでこれはなんていうかなこれ人のなんていうかな受けた行為に対してそれ相応に見合ったお返しをするっていう意味があるんだそうです。だからお返しをしていくっていうような意味になるんだそうです。返していく。だから反応するような感じになるんですね。だから2つ合わせると恩に対してそれに相応した恩を返していくっていうのが報恩っていう意味にもなるんだそうです。面白いですね。恩を返していく。恩をどんな皆さん最近は受けたでしょうか。ね、いろんな方と関わりながら住んでいてこんなことをしてもらったなとか生まれてからこんな言葉をかけてもらったなとかいろんなことが思い浮かぶことだと思いますけれどもじゃあ私はそれに対してどんなふうに返していけるかな報いていけるかなっていうふうに思うんですね。私たちは何か誰かにしてもらったりいただいたりしたらですねありがとうっていうふうにお礼を言うようにそういうふうにしなさいというふうに育てられました。でもまあね感謝の気持ちを表すために、言葉でもそうですし最近は私結構物をあげるのが手紙とかあげるの好きなんですけどもね、ただ単にこう物をあげることによってお礼を気持ちをね表すこともあると思うんですけどもちょっとねそれが行き過ぎるとなんかしてもらったからあの人に借りを作らんようにするためにもうチャラにするためにこれあげとかなまた変なことをやられるかもしれないちょっと自分が不利になった時にじゃあフェアじゃないからちょっとあげとこうとか言っとかなっていうふうなねちょっと見越してなんていうかね自分の本当のお礼の気持ちっていうのをちょっと通り越して、そんなことをしたりすることないですかね。私だけかななんかわかんない。私の結構田舎の方ではありました。逆にありがとうってものをやってあげたことに対して人からありがとうっていうふうにねものをいただいた時に開けてみたらあれ私もうちょっと上等なものをもらってもいいんじゃないかなって、考えるようなこともあるような時もある。逆にちょっともらいすぎてるんじゃないかなって、考えることもある。こんな風にね私たち本当の意味でやっていただいたことやったことに対してお互い様に、ちょうど自分たちで見合ったようにその行為に見合ったようにありがとうと物を渡したり返したり言葉で返したりしていくっていうのはなかなか難しいことじゃないかなというふうに思いますね。そしてやっぱり借りたらやってもらったら返す、返したら終わりって全て一個一個が潰していけるほどね私たちが受けてきた恩っていうのは見やすいものではないんじゃないかなというふうに思います。目まぐるしい世の中にある私っていうのは基本的にやっぱり目の前の私のことで精一杯になりますからね私は結構できているよっていうふうに思っても時にやっぱり大事なことをすっ飛ばして見落としてしまうことってあるんだなっていうふうに思ったことがありました。ちょっとお話ししますね。私の両親の話なんですけどもこの12月去年の12月ですね両親日本から呼んだんです。これで3回目になりますけれどもその説はね皆さんに本当に優しく接してもらってすごくね両親喜んでました。で私ねこうやってアメリカいますけれども、すごく本当に両親にはいろいろ迷惑をかけてきてお世話になってきたのでね、今リタイアして退職して家にいますけれどもこれまで本当いろんなことやってもらったから恩返ししたいと思ってねその気持ちで彼らをそうやって今までアメリカに招待してきたわけです。でね今回3回目になりますから結構慣れてきて両親に招待した時事前に両親がね何したいかっていうのは全く聞いていませんでした。ちょっと忙しかったりもあってねそれで渡航の3日前くらいにちゃんと両親はパッキングの準備しとるんかなと思ってね電話をしてみました。 そしたらですね、父が出まして、もう順調って聞いたらですね、順調っていうふうに聞いて安心してたんですけれどもね、そしたら最後の方でちらっと父がこう言ったんです。ドジャーススタジアムに行けたらと思っとるよって軽々と言ったんですよ。私ははっと思って何って思って聞いてなかったからびっくりした。そんな予定もしてなかったから、私が聞かなかったのがねもう完全に悪いんですけれども、で実は私の両親は大のドジャースファンで、もうっていうか大谷翔平選手が大好きなんですね。できっと両親はもう LA とねサンノゼっていうのが同じカリフォルニアにあるっていうことは知っとるから、もうすぐ1時間ぐらいで行けるんじゃないかなぐらいな感じで思って、ドジャーススタジアムに行こうと思うんだよって言ったんだと思うんです。でも私はどこにあるかっていうのは大体分かりますから、何言ってるのと思って、ね、ドライブでしたら5時間半ぐらいかかるっていうふうに聞きましたよ。だから私はね今このサンノゼで運転するだけでも精一杯ですから、もう私ドライブは行けんなと思ったので、じゃあもうフライトで1時間でピュッて飛行機で行けばいいと思ってね、フライトなんていうかねサウスウェストとかそういう感じの会社を見てみました。そしたらですねすっごく高くて、往復で全員合わせたら$1000ぐらいかかると思ってね、どうしようと思って、私は両親の飛行機代も親孝行と思ってね全部カバーしてるから、プラス今オフシーズンで誰もいないスタジアムの外だけを見に行くためだけに$1000払って行くのはあんまり割に合わないなっていうか、馬鹿げてるっていうふうに思ってしまったんですね。だからすごいよく考えたけども、両親にはごめんね、ちょっと申し訳ないけど LA には行けないっていうふうにね、なしでいいっていうふうにね、だけど違うとこ行こうっていうふうに言ったんです。で両親はね、いいよ全然いいよって言ったけど、その時の顔がなんだかあんまりいいよっていう顔じゃなかったんですね。なんとなくちょっと寂しそうだった。私の価値観でもうドジャーススタジアムなんか無理ってそんな馬鹿げてるっていうふうに言ったけれどもね、本当なんとなくその日電話した後に気になってなんか眠れなくて考えてたんですね。でドジャースのファンの人とか野球のファンの方にはとっても失礼なんですけど、私は全く野球にも興味ないし、私の中で優先順位とっても低い方なんですね。でもさっき言ったように両親にとってはもう野球のアメリカの試合を生中継で日本でもう、朝早い時間でも見るくらい熱狂して大事にして見ている。それぐらい自分の人生の中で活力になっていて大きな価値のあるもので優先順位の高いものなんですね。それだけ私たち温度差があるっていう姿にまず気づきました。でね、自分の姿ももう一つ振り返ってみました。先ほど言いましたけども、私思えばたくさん両親にこれまでの人生にわがまま言ってきたし、恩返しがしたいなと思って、できる限りのことしたいなと思ってね、呼んで両親に、アメリカに来てもらって、それでもちょっと償えたら償うじゃないけど返していけたらなっていうふうに思った。で思えば小さい頃私が欲しいものとか大人には興味がなくてわからないようなものとかきっとね、毎回じゃないけれども少しずつ私たち4人兄弟ですけども、私たちに一人一人買ってくれていたなとか、私が見たいものとかやってみたいこととか行ってみたいところとか、両親はいつも大丈夫だよ、あなたならできるよって行ってみようよってね連れて行ってくれたし、やってみなさいって行ってみなさいっていうふうにね背中を押してくれたなっていうふうに思いました。そういう私にかけてくれた言葉だけじゃなくって、自分のお金とか時間も惜しまないで、私が大切にしていることをバカにせずに尊重してくれていたよなっていうふうに気づいたんですね。 そう思ったらなんだかね、自分の中にある冷たさとか心の狭さっていうのがね、パッと明るみになって、なんか恥ずかしいなっていうふうに思ったんです。でね、そう思ったらおこがましいけども、何かもう絶対返しきれないんだけども、どうにかして私にできることないかなと思って思いついたのがやっぱりドジャーススタジアムに連れて行くしかないっていうふうに思ったんですね。でウェブサイトを見てみたら、ちょうどその滞在中の、ね、スケジュールの中にそのドジャーススタジアムで日本語のツアーをやってくれているスロットがありました。だから私はアメリカを旅慣れている友達に相談しました。どんなふうに連れて行ったらいいかな、私でも連れて行けるかなって言ったらね、大丈夫だよって、もうそんなダウンタウン市街地まで行かないんだったら自分で頑張って行かなくても、パセディナとか郊外のホテルに泊まって次の日にウーバーでドジャーススタジアム行けばいいんだよ、そういう方法もあるんだよって教えてくれてね、なんとかなるよって教えてくれたんです。でいけるかなと思ったんですけども、なんとか私車でサンノゼからパセディナのホテルまでね頑張って運転しました。途中もう車のトラブルありましたし、私道間違えてしまってですね、ちゃんとナビゲーションのやつGoogle ねのやつやってたんですけどね、アップやってたんですけど、道間違えちゃって、もう電波もなくてガソリンもあと2しかないところでもう火星にいるような感じがしてね、うわどうしようって、それを1時間ぐらい迷ったりしてですね、全部で9時間かけてホテルにやっと着いたんです。すごいでしょそれで、教えてもらったように、ウーバーなんて初めて使ったことなかったけどね、マイコ先生が教えてくれてウーバーを使ってドジャーススタジアム行きました。でもね、私たちもう本当に緊張しすぎてすごく早く出過ぎてしまって、またスタジアム空いてなくてですね、違う駐車場に降ろされてしまって、もううろうろしていたらですね、そこで優しい方が、ね、案内してくれて、うまく、無事にそのミーティングポイントっていうかね、行くべきところに行けたんですけども、両親はすごく本当に嬉しそうにしてくれました。多分これは皆さんにはしたら何でもないことじゃないかって思うかもしれないですけどね、私は土地勘もなくて、なんていうか英語も完璧じゃなくて外国人でね、ちょっと怖がりな私にとってはね、だいぶ大きなチャレンジだったんですね。もうまさにアドベンチャーでした。父はですね、私の運転中ずっと後ろでぐーって寝てたんですけどね、母は私の隣でね、助手席でずっと、多分私の運転が心配だったと思うんですけど、起きてね、眠気防止のためにいろいろスルメを食べさせてくれたりとか、なんかエナジードリンク飲ませてくれたりね、ずっと私をケアしてくれて、いました。そんなドライブしながらね、思いながら、私こんな風に人生走ってきたなっていう風にね、思いました。仏教では、私が行う行というか行いのことをね、行っていう風に言いますけれどもね、こういう行って言いますけれども、3つなんていうか3つに分けられます。私が心で行う行のことを意行って言います。心のね。で、言葉で行う行のことを苦行って言いますね。口の言葉。そして体で行う行のことを心行っていうふうに言いますけども、それを頭を取って心苦意の三行って言います。身で行う行い、口で行う言葉、行い、心で行う行いがありますけれどもね、この中で一番大事になっているのが心なんですね。だってこの私が行う行動の行いの元になっているのが全部この心、頭で思っていることが口になって体の行いになっているからだと思います。この行にはいい行もあるし悪い行いもありますよね。私たちはいい行いもすることもあるけども、 たまに悪いこと行いもある、ね、でそのいい行いもするんだけれども、それがどんなにいい心でのもとでやっておったとしてもですね、仏教ではその裏にはね、ちょっとでも私が見返りを求めてしまったり、求める心があったりね、自分の中心の心が混じったりしとったらね、それは本当の意味でいい行いとは言いませんよっていうふうに言われる、ね、そんなふうに考えるとね、私も親に恩返しがしたいと思ってね、言ったけれども、結局は自分中心でね考えて、なんていうか、ドジャースタジアムダメというふうにね、自分の価値観を押し付けたりでね、本当の意味でそれはいい行いしようとしてもね、できない私がおるなっていうふうにも考えました、気づかされました。そのことをね、親鸞上人は増読の善というふうにおっしゃった。ちょっとごめんなさい。増読の善、ちょっと漢字がこれ増、ちょっとごめんなさい、読めないね。増読、毒が混じってしまう。私のいい行いには善が毒が混じってしまう、一個でも混じってしまうようなしまったら、それはね、本当の意味ではいい行いではない。それが仏教の考え方ですけれども、結局ね、私には人のためと思っても、親孝行って思ってもね、本当の意味で、なんていうか、ピュアな心でありがとうっていうこともできないし、なんていうかね、いい行いっていうのはなかなかできないんだなっていうふうにね、気づかされたことでした、残念ながら一つでもそんなふうに思ってしまったら、毒が混じっとる善になってしまう。普段の行いでもそうなのに、ましてはね、仏様になるためにはそんな一個でも混じったらね、それはパーになりますからダメです。仏に至るための行なんかね、できるはずがない私だよな、やっぱりなっていうふうに思いました。本来仏様の道を歩むことなんてできない、そんな命を生きとる私だったなって。でこれまでそうやって迷いの命を歩んできたんだよっていうふうにお釈迦様は教えてくださって、親鸞上人もそうだったんだよなってうなずいて、私たちに、うなずかれたからこそね、この阿弥陀様に出会われた時、本当に出会うべきものに出会えたっていうふうに喜ばれたんだと思います。この仏様、阿弥陀様っていう仏様は、迷いに迷って巡ってきた私の命にね、決してバカにしなかった。どうにかしてこの迷い命をきちんと迷いを抜けて悟りの命に生まれる、そんなものに私がしたいんだっていうふうにね、立ち上がって、もう果てしない時間をかけて考えて、大変なご苦労をかけて行を行って、私のもとに南無阿弥陀仏とね、今届いてくださっている。この子一人のために、この子一人を救えないんだったら私は仏にならないよっていうふうにね、私一人をね救えないようだったらこの仏になりませんというふうにね、もうどんな苦労なししてもやり遂げてでも、私はこのものを悟りに導くんだっていうね、すごい力強い誓いがなんていうかね、完成して今この仏様にね、今なってくださっている。そして今南無阿弥陀仏と私の声に、この命に届く、そういう仏様にねなってくださっているわけです。私がこの命生きとる私が気づこうとも気づかなくても、とっくの昔からこの命の上に何万打仏とね、このあなたの迷いの命を迷いのままにさせませんよとね、届いてくださっている。南無阿弥陀仏っていうのは、私は本来は手に届くはずなかったもの、時間も労力も心もね、私にかけて大きな恩をね、私に向けて今届いてくださっている、そんな大きな恩が私たちがいただいている南無阿弥陀仏です。考えてみると、その相当の バランスの取れたねお返しなんて私たちには相当できるようなもの、到底できるようなものではありません。だって同族の増徳の善ですからね。だけれども阿弥陀様はだからどうかお念仏お唱えなさいっていうふうにねずっとおっしゃる。それがこの阿弥陀様のねお心にかなうことなんですね。だからこれは阿弥陀様、私をね仏様にしてくださる仏様の阿弥陀様のお働きそのものなんだけども、そのままがねお念仏そのままがこの仏様のお心ご恩にかなうお姿ですよっていうふうにね親鸞上人は教えてくださいます。だからこれはね何万打仏とお念仏しとる私がすごいわけじゃありません、ね、仏様が私にご用意してくださったその完璧な悟りのままの働きだから、このねくださっているご恩に釣り合うわけです。どんな時もこの最高の功徳が仏様が私に導いてくださっている。それが南無阿弥陀仏。もう途方もないお心とご苦労をかけてくださった、ね、その結晶が南無阿弥陀仏で私たちがいただいているわけ。私にかけられたご恩なんてねやっぱ返しきれないと思う。でも本恩っていうのはやっぱりこの度考えさせてもらったのは、私にかけてくださっていたお心だったりを知って、それに私がどうやって返していけるかなって考えていく、ね、与えられた場所でいただいた役割を通してもう返しきれないけど返していこうっていうふうに考えるだけでもそれは本恩になるかなって思うし、このいただいているこの浄土真宗においては阿弥陀様がお念仏申しなさいっていうふうにおっしゃってくださっているのでね、そのまんまお返しで南無阿弥陀仏とねお念仏をいただいてありがとうってこの命をね生きていくっていうのが本恩なのかなっていうふうにねこの度考えさせていただいたことでした。はい、ちょっと長くなりましたけれども、これでこの旅のご縁を終わらせていただきます。寛容は拝読の5文章で、こちらの最後じゃないで承認一流書141ページのところを読みます。承認一流のご関係の趣は信心のもって本とせられそのゆえはもろもろの造業を投げ捨てて一心に皆に奇妙すれば不可思議の眼力として仏の方より往生事情せしめたもそのくらいを一年発起入賞上始終とも釈しその上の称名念仏た如来我が往生定めたまいしご恩法人の念仏と心べきなりアナカシコ南無阿弥陀仏南無阿弥陀仏南無阿弥陀仏南無阿弥陀仏南無阿弥陀仏南無阿弥陀仏南無阿弥陀仏南無阿弥陀仏。はい。ちょっと途中これがうまくできなかったんですけど、ありがとうございました。はい。こんな感じで私をねこの5、6年させていただいて皆さんに支えていただいてなんとか。来たなっていうふうに思います。本当に心から御礼を申し上げます。ありがとうございました。はい。次の日本語講座は次回からはもうアダム先生がはい日本語もバッチリですからもうはいでね仏様のお話引き続きオンラインでもそして、このねお寺の中でも一緒に、聞いていただければというふうに思います。はい。多分3月だったですかね。ね、2月はお休みだったと思いますので、3月に、 来てみてくださいで、多分お寺に一応連絡されたらね、多分いいかと思います。はい、どうもありがとうございました。Thank you。はい、よかったらお焼香をどうぞ。終わりました。みゆさんごめん。済んじゃった、ごめん。多分そう11時からちょっと前ぐらいから始めて、ごめんなさいね。ちょっと時間がねちょっとずれてしまってね。1時半って言ってた。